codeIt now. Write a program that sends an array containing 3, 7, 2 down to a method, calculate, which to each element adds 5, multiplies by 3, and subtracts 4. The program should output each array element after it is multiplied by 3, and then output the new array at the end. So let's switch over to our JGrass window. Control-N for a new file, enter for Java as the default language. Let's copy the contents of an old file with Control-C. Make sure you select all of it. Go back to the untitled window, Control-V to paste. And then, let's see, let's give it a new name in this top level comment. So we'll just actually call it calculate. And change the name in the class declaration as well. And then let's get rid of this old code inside the main method. All right. So we're going to actually have to have two methods here. So we have the main method already declared, but we're going to have to declare a new method called calculate. So let's actually do that first. So public static, and we want to call this calculate. So calculate. And we want to list the arguments, but first let's just write out the parentheses and the curly braces so we don't forget them. And so the argument for this is going to be an integer, and let's just call it a. Okay, so inside calculate, we want to do a few things. So first, we add 5. So a plus equals 5. Then we want to multiply by 3, so a times equals 3, and subtracts 4, but we also want to output each array element after it is multiplied by 3. Okay, so after it is multiplied by 3. So we just did the multiplication by 3, so we also should do system.out.println a, because we just multiplied by 3, so we want to output the value. And then after that, we can subtract by 4. So a minus equals 4. All right, and then the very last thing we want to do is just return the new value, rather, of a. So now we can go back up to our main method, and we want to create an array of 3, 7, 2. So let's make that array. So int array, we'll just call this r equals 3, 7, 2, and semicolon. And then what we would like to do is we would also like to create a separate array. So this one is going to hold the results. So let's call this one int array, maybe result equals new int array. And of course there's 3 elements and there's going to be 3 results, but we could also write it as this, r.length, because they're going to have the same length. And this makes it very explicit that we want the same length in both arrays. Okay. And then the next thing we're going to want to do is we want to iterate over the array and fill in the values for a result. So for int I equals 0, as long as I is less than, and it doesn't really matter which array we use for the length that I goes up to because they both have the same length. So I'm just going to choose r, so r.length, I++, then we need our curly braces. And then what we need to do is we need to say for results I, so this is the value we want to fill in. We want to fill it in with calling calculate, the method we created, and calling it on r I, and semicolon. And then at the very end, it says that we should output the new array. So let's do that. Let's see, where can we put that? Yep, right here. So system.out.println. So I'm just going to put in one line first where I say the new array is. And then I'm going to create a for loop that actually iterates over the elements and prints them out on one line. So for int I equals 0, as long as I is less than result dot length, I plus plus, curly braces, and then I will do a system.out.print rather than println because I'd like to have them on one line. So result I plus some space and close parentheses and semicolon. All right, so it looks like this is everything. We might want to add in some comments. So let's see. We can say here for this for loop, call calculate on each elements of R and store resulting array into result. Print out result. All right, so now what we can do is we can save, Control S, enter to accept, then Control B to compile. Oh, and there we go. We actually got an error for compiling. Let's see, what is our error? Here we go. So see, this is important. We made a few errors, but this is good because the compiler told us exactly what we messed up with. So the first one says that on line 21, and so if we click on this, it actually highlights exactly where we have the error. It says, invalid method declaration, return type required. So all this is telling us is that, hey, you forgot to tell us what this method is returning, and it's returning an int. So we need to add that in there. And then the second error on line 27, so if we click on this, it highlights it, is saying, hey, you forgot a semicolon. So let's add our semicolon. And then that should fix all the errors because there were only two. So now Control S to save, Control B to compile. Okay, compiled successfully now, and Control R to run. And there we go. So this seems to be correct because as we can see here, these are the values printed out from calculate, and we have some values that are larger than what they are in the final array, which makes sense because we print inside of calculate before we subtract 4. And yeah, we print it out on one line, so it's all good.